All right, hello and welcome back everybody to another video. This is the first that we're going to be doing of some deck profiles. So I'm going to get things started and give you guys kind of a format here. And if anybody wants to be a part of it in the future, go ahead into the Discord, talk to Brian, whether it's your deck or somebody else's deck. If it's a deck that won, if it's a deck that does really well among your circle of friends, let us know and we can have it featured on the channel. So again, go on Discord, talk to Brian. But in the meantime, I'm going to show you guys what we have here. I'm going to be starting with a Pokemon deck on a Battle Spirit Saga mat because I plan ahead on things. But mine is an interesting take on a very popular deck right now, which is Gardevoir or Gardevoir, as some people like to refer to it. Pretty much the same as other stuff, but there is a little splash, a little flavor that has just the amount of toxicity that I like in my deck. So we're going to get started here with the Pokemon in this deck. So to start, we have 16 total Pokemon, and 4 of those are the Ralts. It doesn't really matter which one. The memory skip is nice because if you're behind, you can at least stop your opponent from attacking a little bit. Unlike a lot of stage 2 decks, we are going to also have 4 of the stage 1, which is the Kirlia. Why this specific Kirlia? Well, it has the refinement ability, which is insane amounts of draw power. So even if you're slowly building up this Pokemon to Gardevoir, you have draw power, which is getting your game state in play. So highly recommend this one. This one specifically, you can also, there's another Kirlia with Mirage Step, I believe is the ability, which gets 3 other Kirlias onto your bench immediately. So it still takes a little bit of setup, but I see some people using that as well. I prefer just the refinement because it seems a little bit more consistent to me. Now then, for our Gardevoirs, we have 2 Gardevoir EXs. If you're unfamiliar, this Gardevoir allows you as much as you like. You're able to take psychic energies from your discard pile and attach them to your Pokemon or your psychic Pokemon in any way that you want. And this is limitless from the bench, from the active spot, as often as you have energies in the discard pile and they have health, because every time you do this, you get 20 damage put onto that Pokemon, which is a pretty fair trade-off until you see what else we got cooking in this deck. And then also for other Gardevoirs, we have the Shining Arcana Gardevoir. So this is a single prize attacker that is very strong and also has the Shining Arcana ability, which is essentially refinement, except you don't have to discard in order to draw 2. And if one of the 2 cards that you draw are energy cards, you get to attach them to your Pokemon for free. No damage counters, and it doesn't count as your energy attachment for a turn. So you can accelerate energies very quickly with this certain setup. And this one has the Brainwave, what makes it such a good attacker. So it's 60 base damage with 3 energy cost. It's colorless, but we're going to be using the psychic energies because it says this attack does 30 more damage for each psychic energy attached to this Pokemon, which accelerates pretty quickly. Now, just raw, you can take 6 energies from the discard pile and put them onto this Gardevoir from this Gardevoir, because that'll be up to 120 damage counters. You can't knock your own Pokemon out with that ability. Now, you can still run more of Gardevoir EX and Gardevoirs like this because they are technically different names. So if you wanted to run more, a 3-3, say, of this, you have that option to do so. I think a 2-2 is plenty. For me, I haven't ever required more than that. So next on the list is Zacian. Zacian is, or Zacian V, I should say, basically a V version with higher health of this. So these attacks have the same thing. This one's called Storm Slash, exact same text, exact same damage. It also has Roar of the Sword. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for a psychic energy card and attach it to one of your Pokemon, then shuffle your deck, and that ends your turn. So very good for turn 1. If you can get Zacian out and then you accelerate some energy, he's ready to go by turn 2 if you had one in hand. So I like him, and we've also got some stuff in the deck that will make him a little bit beefier. 220 health is still pretty low for 2 prizers, but we have ways to get around that. And finally, the sauce. What I really like about this deck, this build, is the Dedenne EX. Now, the special thing about it is the tail swap. Now, remember earlier how I told you that the Gardevoir racks up damage every time it moves energies from the discard pile to one of the Pokemon. What if I told you that you could get rid of that energy, or get rid of that damage and put it onto your opponent's Pokemon? That's exactly what Dedenne EX does here. With the Tail Swap ability, move all damage counters from one of your benched Pokemon to one of your opponent's active Pokemon. That means you can really just load up Zacian, or even let him take a hit, put as many energies as you can, throw out Dedenne EX, and just swap all that damage over. So then Zacian's fully healthy, you possibly get a knockout on your opponent's Pokemon, and you are ready to just keep going. It also has Wondrous Shot for 3 energy, 170, discard all N energy from this Pokemon. Nothing crazy, nothing too great, but it's not bad either. It works. He's going to get knocked out pretty quickly because he's 170 HP, but not a big deal. So that is the list of Pokemon that I've got in this deck for you guys. Now we're going to go into trainer cards, specifically the item cards. So there are a lot. I'm not going to give you an exact number here. We will just go through it. So first on the list, we got the rare candies here. I'll start this right over here. So this allows you to skip the stage 1 from your between the basic and your stage 2 Pokemon. As long as it's been on the field, it still has the same evolutionary requirements. It has to be on the field for at least 1 turn, and then you can use this to skip a step. Like I said before, not entirely necessary, but if you're a little bit behind, you have some recursion that gets the Gardevoir and Ralts back into the deck. You can use the rare candy to just skip the Kirlia and go straight into the action. But yeah, you're often going to want to be into the Kirlias anyway for the draw power. This is just if you are ahead of the game, maybe you need an extra Ralts to speed up a little bit, then you could go to the Refinement or the Gardevoir EX. The EXs now are capable of evolving from the single prize basics and all that. So that's why Rare Candy is going to be a staple in a lot of Stage 2 decks. So I'm running 3 because, like I said, I like going through the Kirlia, so I'm not going to use them very often, but still having 3 as the option in the deck, either to discard or to use later on, is good for me. Now, because we got something new in Paldea Evolved, we got the Bravery Charm, which is basically the Cape of Toughness, that we had earlier. It gives 50 extra health to a basic Pokemon. That includes Zacian and Dedenne EX. So it gives them a little bit more health to work with. It's still going to get one shot by a lot of stuff that can do 280 damage in one attack, which is a big problem in the Pokemon TCG, if I'm being honest, but otherwise, it's going to be able to at least hang on for 1 attack, so it's not getting one shot by most things. And then you can use Dedenne to send that right back at him and keep it going. Also, we've got 4 Fog Crystals. We're going to go kind of into our search here. Fog Crystal is going to be rotating soon, but for the time being, it is a must-have in any Psychic deck. So you can get a basic Psychic Energy card or a basic Psychic Pokemon. From your deck, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. Very good search, and it's very versatile. So it doesn't get both, but it can get one or the other. So it's very good. Let's go on to balls. Let me show you my balls here. We got Hisu and Heavy Ball. Just if you're looking for some of the basics, which are Dedenne and Zacian, which you're mostly going to be interested in. Of course, the Ralts, but you have 4 in the deck, so usually isn't going to be the biggest priority to get another one out. But you can if you want to. But yeah, you look at your prize cards, find the basic Pokemon there, bring it back out. Then for, we've got Ultra Ball. 2 Ultra Balls. We've got a lot, and I mean a lot of draw power in this deck. So it doesn't matter too much to have a lot of these. You're going to draw into most of what you need for the most part, but having 2, I think, is just enough. And everything else searches out what you need. I've also got 3 Level Balls here. Now I'm using Level Ball instead of Nest Balls because Level Ball will also search out the Kirlia. So you can get out your Ralts, but you can also get out the Kirlia as an evolution because it's less than 90 health. So Nest Balls are a little bit more restrictive in that sense. And yeah, I would say if you're building these stage 2 decks with the EXs and you have certain cards that you want to, evolve into in the meantime without using the rare candy, Level Ball is still the way to go. It is, again, rotating soon. Hopefully we get something good in the meantime, but while it's here, very good card to have in most of these decks. If you are lucky, we've got 4 Battle VIP passes. It only works on the first turn, but it's there. It's very good to get as much of your board state in place as early as possible so you can start evolving and get drawn. So yeah, 4 Battle VIP passes gets you 2 basic Pokemon at the beginning of the match. And yeah, hopefully you at least get 1 or 2 at the start, and then you're off to the races, basically. So you can still get unlucky, and it's kind of a dead card, but at the same time, it's an easy decision whether or not you want to discard or what you want to discard with Kirlia later on. So, and then for later draw power, we've got 4 trekking shoes. This is to get some psychic energy into the discard pile so we can accelerate it later with Gardevoir EX. And there's also some good draw power. So it's a draw 1 goes to 2, essentially. So, very good card to have. We got some reprints of it, so it's very cheap to get a hold of. And it's very popular in a lot of decks that have some discard synergy. So 4 of these, very good to have. And then, of course, 2 switches. Just some options to get yourself out of the active spot if you need to for free. Though with Gardevoir and you want to rack up damage points for, say, having the Dene do his thing, hard retreating is not a hard thing to do, but maybe in some instances you don't want to. So having these options here at any point in the game is always good to have, at least 2 of. Then we are going to go into trainers, specifically our supporter cards. I'm going to put these on the mat here at the same time. We got 2 Judges and 1 Iono. Now, you could run full Iono, that's totally fine. I like Judge because it will consistently disrupt your opponent, especially if they're drawing a lot. And since this deck has a lot of draw potential, it really doesn't matter how much you hurt yourself with a smaller hand size, with Judge being only 4 cards. So I like Judge in this scenario, and I think you're going to be racking up a lot of stuff, a lot of prize cards early, so Iono is going to hurt you more than your opponent in a lot of scenarios, unless you're really having a bad game. So yeah, 2 Judge, 2 Iono, and then 2 Bosses orders. Really good to just, usually at the end game, or to slow down your opponent, depends on what your situation is. But it's always good to have at least 2, I feel, to be able to cinch out that last prize card or last 2 prize cards at the end of the game, especially if they've retreated something and they're trying to protect it on the bench. So that's it, though, for the supporters. Not a whole lot there. But like I said, no Professor's Research or anything, because the draw power are in the Pokemon themselves. You don't have to worry about that too much. Now let's go into stadiums. Old Cemetery is here just to rack up some more damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon if they are attaching energy to non-psychic types. So if you're playing a mirror matchup, then this isn't very useful, but it's discard fodder at that point. Got Temple of Sinnoh, which turns all of special energies on the field into normal energies, just single colorless energies, and no more effects. So it slows down things like Mew, like Lugia when that was still a threat. So yeah, some niche situations where this is good. I know the Pokemon TCG is printing a lot of stuff for counter special energies, so they might be ramping up to something that I'm not sure of yet. So it's good to have this, just 1, to at least bump Path to the Peak, because that's going to be your biggest enemy or when running this deck. And then 2 Artisan, just be able to get some of your Ralts out onto the field if you need to, accelerate your game plan if you got unlucky with your Battle VP pass at the beginning and you're not drawing any balls. So that is it for that. Pretty simple and straightforward, nothing too crazy. I would still recommend, if you don't like those stadiums, at least have 1 or 2 of something in there, because like I said, Path to the Peak is awful, and you're going to want something to either get rid of the stadium on the field that's stopping you, or just replace it with 1. So things like Lost Vacuum and Worker. I think Worker is the one where you draw 3 cards, discard a stadium. So you can do any of those, whatever fits your playstyle. I prefer just having some stadiums that can do some work there. And then energy, I've got my shiny stuff here. I run 10 energies in this one. With a lot of guarded box, you're going to be seeing anywhere from 12 to 15 typically. I think 10 is a good sweet spot for being able to get all the other items that I want in the deck, as well as not being energy starved. So that is it. Nice and pretty and shiny. And yeah, that is my version of Gardevoir, which is mostly focused around being able to make this guy do really nasty things to your opponent and then have them never speak to you again. That's just my play style, and I lie in the bed that I make. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for making it to the end. If you did, sure to like and subscribe at the bottom. Make sure to leave a comment on what you'd like to see in the future. And again, if you guys want to see any other decks from people in the shop or your own deck, be sure to talk to Brian about how we could do this. You don't have to be on camera yourself. I can do this for you with my limited knowledge of several TCGs at this point. So let me know what you guys want to do, and we will see you all next time.